All right, so head coach Dave Clawson back for his 11th season. Not on the hot seat, according to CBS's hot seat rankings. His job's completely safe, according to them. I mean, it does make sense. They're coming off a terrible season, 4-8 last year. It's the worst season Wake Forest has had since 2015. But if you look at his tenure there, I mean, he took over a mess. 7 consecutive bowl games he took him to, so he definitely gets a little bit of leeway, and I could get it. I'd say his job's safe. Another 4-8 season, maybe we're having a different conversation next summer, but yeah. So Clawson back for his 11th season, brings back both coordinators, so same coaching staff. As far as returning production, they're 73rd in the country, 15 returning starters, 8 on offense, 7 on defense. All right. So what we saw from Wake Forest last year was they completely changed their offense because Sam Hartman left, right? Sam Hartman goes to Notre Dame, obviously, as I'm sure most of you know, and then went from a complete pass-first offense, and they tried to run the ball last year. They're actually 29th in run frequency, which is not what we saw from Wake Forest the year prior. So they tried running the ball last year unsuccessfully. I mean, it wasn't great. Mitch Griffiths was the quarterback for most of the season. He actually lost the starting job midseason to Michael Kern, but then Michael Kern got hurt, so then Mitch Griffiths came back in to play quarterback, and then Michael Kern came back. It doesn't matter because Griffiths is gone. Michael Kern's still there, but it looks like Big Hank is taking over at quarterback for for Wake Forest, which is, if you don't know who Hank Bachmeier is, he's one of Sonny Cumbie's guys from Louisiana Tech. He started his career with Boise State, had a lot of promise. I mean, he had a breakout season with Boise State in 2021. Really hasn't stayed healthy since then. I mean, last year he was the starter at Louisiana Tech, but couldn't stay on the field. I mean, he did have nice-looking passing numbers when he was on the field last year, but the thing is, there's a couple things to that. So, yes, he has some nice-looking passing numbers when he did play. I watched a lot of Louisiana Tech football last year. The numbers were a little better than it actually looked on screen. And also, throwing against Conference USA defenses is a lot different than throwing against Clemson and the ACC defenses he's about to see this year. Not that the ACC is loaded up with defenses, but certainly better than Conference USA. So, what do you think about Hank Bachmeier taking this starting job?
It's certainly something. This is a guy, like you said, he started at Boise State and he was very promising. I think it'll be fun. I think that'll be kind of the fun part of Wake Forest. I don't think this team's particularly very good, but I think Bachmeier, you said it, the numbers were actually pretty good last year. I think that was the most surprised I've been, was seeing his numbers last year, because I remember thinking back, like, this guy wasn't that good. But for him to be playing Power 4 football, I mean, it's good for him. It's his last year in college, but I think it'll be very interesting just seeing how he does against better competition, because he was good against La Tech, but like you said, this is a power conference now, so this is much different.
Yeah, it's really tough to make a prediction there. I mean, I think Wake Forest is happy with the quarterback they have, honestly. We'll see. So Hank Bachmeier takes over at quarterback. As far as the running backs, they had 3 different backs get carries last year, and 2 of them are back. The one that's gone, he transferred to Indiana. Also, a couple of their receivers went to the Big Ten also. They had their number 3 wide receiver left for Indiana as well. Their leading receiver, Jamal Banks, he left. He's with Nebraska. Their number 4 wide receiver left for NC State. So 3 of their top 4 receivers are gone. They did bring back a kid, Taylor Morin, who's definitely like a big play guy. He averaged like 15, 16 yards of reception. So they do bring him back. They also got a tight end that they like too. But no question, wide receiving core takes a hit. Offensive line does return 3 starters. And their offensive line actually wasn't terrible last year. There was not much that was successful with Wake Forest season. But if you look at their offensive line numbers, it really wasn't that bad. Let me pull it up on the screen.
Bad against the run, the good pass blocking unit is the way I would say it.
Where's Wake's offensive line? There we go. Wake's offensive line. Yeah, I mean, it's not terrible looking, and they bring back 3 starters. So I actually think the offensive line should be decent for Wake Forest, and they're going to need to keep Hank Bachmeier clean against these ACC defenses. To me, the number one problem with the Wake Forest offense was just lack of production from the quarterback position and inconsistent health from the RBs. So they got Hank Bachmeier, and they bring in 2 of their 3 backs. Not that I'm saying Wake Forest offense is going to be good, but it has to be better.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much the way that it is. I think they lost a lot of production overall in the run game, or in the receiving game. The rusher, first and third rusher back, like you said, that's fine. they're bringing back a decent amount of production there, but again, that didn't really work last year. I think I'm not gonna try to beat a dead horse here. I think this team's bad and not gonna try to beat around it. I think the team's gonna be terrible.
Well,
but
hold on.
I think it'll be fun terrible.
Though, when we get to the defense,
yes.
Wake Forest. First of all, Wake Forest kind of got branded as shootout team, high scoring, don't play a lot of defense because that's kind of the games they were playing during the Sam Hartman era when they were relevant. But that's not where the defense was better than the offense was last year. Their defense wasn't that bad last year. And 7 of their top 8 defensive linemen are back. They only lost 1 linebacker. So the defensive front 7 for Wake Forest is super experienced. The run defense numbers were actually decent last year. Definitely should be better. I actually like the defensive front 7 for Wake Forest. They bring back a ton of production, and they're undervalued. They were a little better than you would think they were last year. Now, they did lose 3 starters in the secondary, and that's a little scary because the pass defense was the weak spot of the defense last year, and now the ACC is loaded up with quarterbacks, so they definitely should struggle against the pass. But as far as stopping the run, I like it for Wake. So I don't think it's all bad for Wake Forest. How about that? That's what I'll say.
Yeah, I think, like you said, D-line is sick. They have an NFL talent that'll be drafted next year. They have 5 seniors, so that's an experienced overall unit. Yeah, run defense will be good. I'm worried about the corner situation. They did bring a couple of transfers in, but the depth's not really there. Should be good at safety, but yeah, this is probably a team that's going to get passed on a little bit when, depending on what their schedule is, they're going to have some tough quarterbacks to go up against. So yeah, they're going to get thrown on.
Speaking of schedule, we got it on the screen. All right, so, whoops, I'm cutting off one of the games there. One sec. All right, there's Wake's schedule. We're starting off with a win, 1-0. I mean, that's winnable. Number 2. I mean, Virginia is going to be better than Wake Forest this year, but that's definitely winnable.
Yeah, winnable.
They could be 3-1, man.
Yeah, I think they could beat ULL.
Yeah, they
Louisiana,
will.
I guess.
Obviously, they lose to Ole Miss.
Yeah.
At NC State's a loss. Clemson's a loss. Yeah. At UConn's a win.
Yeah.
Stanford.
Tough travel.
How about this? They'll take either the Virginia game or the Stanford game.
Okay. That's
so
fair.
I counted Virginia as a win, so we'll count Stanford as a loss. So that puts them at 1, 2, 3, 4 losses. Home against Cal. Shit. How about they'll take one of Cal or Duke?
It's off a bye, so that helps. Yeah. One of Cal Duke, yeah. They're going to lose the 2 in between.
So that puts them at 5 losses. At North Carolina, probably a loss. 6 losses. At Miami, probably a loss. 7 losses, which puts us on the under 4 wins. This would be an under.
Yeah, and that includes a Virginia game. I really don't think they're going to win. The Stanford game. The Stanford game's winnable, but
they have their win total 4.5 wins juiced to the over. Mm-hmm. So which would indicate they think it's going to land on 5.
Well, you got 3 gimmies. That's for sure.
What's the 5th win that they're giving them?
Stanford, probably.
Okay, so they're giving them
Stanford to Duke. Duke.
They're giving them Stanford.
I think we looked at Duke a little higher than maybe other people did. I think a lot of people think Duke is going to suck.
All right, so Stanford and Duke gets them at 5. I think they could drop Stanford or Duke.
Yeah, I think they're under. I think they're probably the worst Power 4 team in college football.
Cool. Next team. And the next team is we got NC State. Yep. All right, NC State. Let's get the NC State slideshow going here.